if our first question was non-calculator, if you want to make a note, this question would be on a calculator test. 2a looks very similar to 1a in that you have some like terms. We have a cos. We would like to isolate that to get it by itself. So just looking at this, I could subtract cos x on both sides to put those like terms together. I could add 4 to both sides to get those like terms together. That would leave me with negative 2 on the left and 3 cos x on the right. Divide both sides by 3. And I would get cos x equals negative 2/3. When we're solving for this, I'm taking note and I'm checking my calculator because I'm going to need my calculator. This question's in radians. I make sure my calculator is in radians. And now I'm going to find my reference angle by doing cos inverse of positive 2/3. I get a reference angle of 0.841. Cos is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So I can go pi minus my reference angle and pi plus my reference angle. And I get x is equal to 2 to the nearest hundredth, 2.30 and 3.98. And I make a little note here. These are my solutions between 0 and 2 pi. I solve first once around my circle in the positive direction. I'm going to check the domain. The domain that they gave us is from negative pi over 2 less than or equal to x less than 3 pi over 2. And I like to break up this domain. Here's the positive section would be from 0 to 3 pi over 2. And the negative section of that domain is from 0 to negative pi over 2. The positive one is quadrant 1, 2, and 3. The negative one is in quadrant 4. What were our answers? We had two answers. We had an answer in quadrant 2 and an answer in quadrant 3. Do we have to change them? Or are they okay? Right? We look, positive ones in 1, 2, and 3. These ones are actually both okay. We don't have to change any of our answers because we didn't have any answers in quadrant 4. Then write the general solution. So our general solution, take your answers, 2.30 and 3.98, add 2k pi to write all the coterminal angles with them. And we have our general solution. Part B, we have a root 2 cosecant x equals negative 5. I read through part B. I notice it's in degrees, so I'm going to right away go to my calculator and change my calculator from radians to degrees. You're going to have to switch back and forth a lot in these units. So being able to notice this one's in degrees, switch to degrees, and I can get cosecant x by itself by dividing both sides by the square root of 2. And whenever you have a reciprocal trig function, since you don't have a cosecant inverse on your calculator, once you've got cosecant by itself, we know that cosecant is related to sine. So we can write sine x and flip the fraction. Where you put the negative doesn't matter. Obviously not on our unit circle, so we're going to have to take out our calculator to find a reference angle. So I do sine inverse of positive square root divided by square root of 2 divided by 5, and I get a reference angle, and since it says 16.4 degrees, it says round to the nearest degree. So now, where is sine negative in quadrant 3, 196 degrees, and quadrant 4, 344 degrees. What was the domain that they asked us? Hopefully we don't have to change. Unfortunately, we're going to. They said look between negative 180 and 180. So if I break that up, that is positive angles from 0 degrees to 180 degrees, and negative angles from 0 degrees to negative 180 degrees. And so looking at my solutions are not in the domain. Maybe I'll make a note off to the side. These were the solutions from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. So we have to find, okay, what would have been coterminal with 196 degrees? That's negative 164 degrees. What's coterminal with 344 degrees? That's negative 16 degrees. Same reference angle. So mental math-wise, I think if the reference angle is 16, I think the negative 16 is easy to figure out for quadrant 4. If the reference angle is 16, in quadrant 3, in the negative direction, I would just do 180 minus 16, which gives me that 164 to figure out that one. Now the general solution, again, for me personally, I like to use the ones in the first time around. So I would use 344 and 196. I think your textbook probably used the negative 164 and the negative 16. It's identical. So questions you can circle on this one are 6 and 7.